Hi, I'm Loren and my company is Intentional Acting. And the technique I want to talk about today is research. Now, how is that a technique? Well, it's a really important thing that you need to do when you get an audition, you get a project. You need to know the whole picture, what's going on. And not enough actors do this. I've seen it over and over again when I was teaching at the SAG Conservatory before the pandemic. And I'd hand people a script, and the first thing they do is just go and memorize their lines and think about how what choices they're gonna make and get up and do it. But they had no idea, like, what are they auditioning for? What is the project? And so, and you can look at the script and you can see, or even if you get your breakdowns, it's going to give you a title, or maybe it'll say untitled such and such project. But you can look all that stuff up. Do your research, go online. If it's a TV show like NCIS and it's been on for years, you definitely have got to know that style, that tone, the feel of that show. For example, this morning in class, we were in a comedy class and my student did this great self-tape. Honestly, it was terrific. He was terrific. It had all the things that I needed and that it needed to be a good self-tape. And I stopped and I looked at it and I was even kind of taken aback. And I'm like, wow, you could be working on this and this and this. But the problem is that it wasn't the right size for this show. We were actually working on an old script from Everybody Loves Raymond. And he did this way over the top, really big performance. And it was great. But if he were going in for that audition, if he was submitting that tape for an audition, they wouldn't cast him. They might send him, because it was so good, they might say, hey, can you do it again and tone it down? That's if they have time. And that's if they have they have the space and the time, and you've turned that tape in earlier enough and they want you that badly that they'll say, hey, could you do it again and tone it down? But generally they don't have that much time and there's somebody else who's doing it. So they're just going to go to the next person and say, and you won't even know that you were too big. So that was so important to say, now go watch the show, go watch Everybody Loves Raymond and come and audition for me again. And he watched it and he goes, oh, totally different style of comedy. I was totally wrong. So, but you can avoid that. He could have avoided that if he had looked up that show when I gave him the script. He could say, what's the title of the show? What is this? And then look it up. All right. And then watch it. You can watch 30 seconds of a show and you can still get the tone and the feel, the dialogue rhythm. You can know what acting style it is. And also, I've had enough students where they didn't even look the sides up to know, is this a comedy or a drama? So there's a lot you can answer in that research and do it very quickly. Even if you just go to IMDb or you look up. So often what I do is have my students look it up on Deadline or Variety or Hollywood Reporter and see what information, especially if it says untitled, or a lot of times also if it's a big Marvel picture, like I've had students who've auditioned and worked on those projects. And when they come down there, you have to do some, like I had a student and he was working on, and he's like, The Rock was connected. It had a whole different name. All we knew was The Rock was connected. And as he read it, he's like, oh, I think they're making a new Black Adam project. And it's certain, and that's what the audition was for. But if he hadn't done that research, he wouldn't have known, oh, that's what this project is. So think about it like this. When casting is handing you 1 page or 5 pages, whatever, but like if it was a Marvel movie, that's probably 110 plus in pages, but they're only giving you 2 pages of 110 pages, right? Or if it's an episodic show, it's about 60, 70 pages, right? You're getting 2 pages of that, or 2 pages of 30 pages of a sitcom. So think about it. Casting, the producers, the directors, the writers, they all know the entire story. They know that 110 pages. They know the whole story and they know all the characters and everything. And you only have 2 pages. So how do you figure out all that other stuff? do your research, look it up. Even often I've had students look up the cat, even just I've had students, it becomes such a puzzle to figure out. It's really fun. And so I have a couple students who are really good at this. And they've even just looked up character names, and the character names led them to find out what the project was. So with all in the world of NDAs and everybody trying to keep everything secret, especially if there's a cliffhanger involved, you know, it sometimes can be hard to find this information. Oh, I have another example. Another student of mine, she's like, I can't find anything on this. And I went back and I read the breakdown, and it said, something or other, ... and then it had www.nbcuniversal.com. I'm like, look up NBC Universal, look up deadline. Sure enough, she found the project. So even when they're trying to hide it, you can find it. Or look up the director or the writers or the producers and see what other projects they've done. So in Hollywood, nobody wants to take a risk. And so if you find out, oh, it's a Ryan Murphy project, then you can look at what other things Ryan Murphy has done, or Shonda Rhimes, or even if it's, so for example, I just watched The Mayor of Easttown, which I thought was fantastic. The writing is brilliant, and it's written by Brian Inglesby. And so I was like, well, what else has he done? Well, he did a movie with Ben Affleck. So I looked that out, The Way Out. And I was like, oh, see what other stuff he's done. And then you start to notice the trend of what their style, what their kind of work is. Okay, so it is a technique. This is really critical for you as an actor, that when you get that project, do your research. Do your research. Look up Deadline, IMDb, Variety, and just a little bit of information can go a real long way and will help you to see the bigger picture that casting and the writers and directors and producers already have, so that your audition can fit in to the picture of what they want. And it really helps them book on a job. So let me know how this works for you. Comment below and have a great day. Good luck with your technique and your self-tapes.